where do you have Pusha T all time? I know we've spoken on this before. And maybe this is a conversation for after his album drops, but I want to ask the people in the room, where is Pusha T all time? Is he top
Okay,
15?
if you think Jada Kiss is better, let's pull out the solo material because
Go
I
for
got
it,
the
Coop.
bars. You feel me? And I love Kiss, but when I tell you that it's like when I tell you it's like the A-list MCR, what up?
No, go ahead.
No, when I say the A-list MC, like kind of like ends, like kind of at that Jada Kiss Pusha T line. This is why, because that's where he is. Like you should be talking about Push as an MC the way we're talking about Kiss, because he actually does everything Kiss does, and he has more classic material to show for it from his group and as a solo artist. So even if you don't
Yeah.
think bar for bar he's better than Kiss, well, he's right there, and he's got the catalog on his side.
Hmm.
Hmm. What say you? Because you know I'm
I
not
personally
wrong.
would put him over Kiss.
Right.
And I know
Why
a lot
would
of
you
people
put
are
him?
probably gonna say, "Yo, I'm tripping" or whatever. But
But what Locke's album sounds like Hell Hath No Fury, and what Kiss solo album sounds like Daytona. Well, in sync because they're comparable MCs.
I would say this though:
Oh, go ahead.
Jada's more versatile,
Yes.
content wise. If there's any knock on Pusha T, it's gonna be content. And Jada's been able to do it all. One thing about Jada, he sounds great on everything. I could say the same thing for Pusha. I think the Clips have a better catalog as a unit than the Locks do.
Because
Um,
they
I think on a solo effort, solo mission, solo career, Pusha T has more impressive solo catalog than Jada. But
yes.
Jada has the features.
Jada
Um,
has the features over everybody, Mike,
yeah.
except for like Nas, Jay, Biggie.
People
Yeah.
saying Pusha T is top 40. See
40.
someone saying Jadakiss is way better.
What Diet Coke are
Um,
you in?
Anthony says "We Are the Streets" is a classic. The Black Line says "Pusha Smoke." Ah, shit.
Better than Hell Hath No Fury, though. It's not, and you know it. I love Weird Streets.
DeCarlo asks, Mike, is grinding better than We Gon' Make It? I
Yes.
think so.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
so.
Yes.
Um, Kay Thompson says Pusha is right behind Rick Ross in my ranking. Hmm.
Hmm.
It's interesting though when you talk about somebody like Jadakiss. Is it
Okay.
fair to put Jadakiss over Rick Ross?
Hell yeah, because he's somewhere else lyrically
Okay.
on his regular days that Ross isn't on his best days, and you know how I feel about Ross.
Um, DJ
And
Bruce
that's not,
Almighty says Mike Eminem has a better catalog than Jada too. Had to get to you. Had to get at you. Yeah. All right. We'll talk about it in a second because we are going to talk about Eminem briefly. He is in the Super Bowl performance. The Black Line said something. He said Pusha T has everything over Jadakiss. And even if we talk about the battle part, what Pusha T did to the biggest pop star in hip hop is noteworthy
right,
because not everybody is willing to jump out there like that.
right.
He did it with ease. And not to mention he's been poking at Wayne for
No,
10
no, no, no,
years.
no. We gonna give Kiss his props on that too. Kiss stepped to 50 when 50 was the biggest guy in the game and did the same
This is true.
thing. Checkmate is a great diss record.
It is.
And he went, he lost to Siegel, but he went at it with Siegel, so he's battle tested, and he done slick dissed and taking shots at a lot of dudes. So it's like Kiss don't mind. Neither one of these dudes mind getting it on. It's very comparable. If you want to talk from a traditional lyrical bar standpoint, here's what it is: Jada Kiss is more Nas lyrically, and Pusha T is more Big lyrically. And so lyrically, you might lean Kiss's way, but after that, the catalog, like the lyricism and the guest appearances, we gonna put in Kiss's favor, I would say. But after that, everything kind of slides to Push's favor, which is what Nas's issue was early on with Big. It was like, yeah, he's a better lyricist, and he's more of the traditional bar for bar guy. But it's like Big's got the voice.
Taffy says, bruh, Pusha T smoked Jada on hunting season.
He didn't smoke him on hunting season. He didn't smoke him.
Nas the Goat says Kiss is way better than Pusha. Sounds like it sounds like we're back and forth on this one.
No, because it's comparable, Mike. I started off by saying it was comparable. Both people trying to make it seem like all the people trying to make it seem like it's not are missing the point. It's
listen, I'll tell you what's not comparable.
I'm cool with this being like this would be like, how about this? And we're gonna talk about this because of how they've been doing. Mike, do you remember when I was putting Kendrick in the top 10 who I was sliding out? Jada Kiss and Pusha T. About his catalog, but what's happened in the last 3-4 years with those guys? Because here's the thing about it: Ignatius is one of Kiss's best projects, Mike. That's one of his 3 best projects to me.
That's interesting. Yeah. I was gonna say
in Daytona,
Siegel beat Jada in the battle.
Siegel beat Jada though.
Okay.
But
that happened.
But I'm cool with these.
And Siegel's special too.
Siegel all time special. Like, how about this, Mike? If Siegel career goes the way it's supposed to go, I got him ahead of Pusha T and Jay. But that's neither here nor there. I'm cool with these guys being right about 9 or 10 on my list. Like, they're somewhere like in that Redman, Kendrick. You want to put Ross right there. Like,
Taz right Angel says, did you compare Pusha to Big? Explain.
Yes, I said if we're looking at things, I said Jada Kiss is more the traditional lyrical bar MC like Nas is. Pusha is more like Big in terms of his lyrical performances, meaning it encompasses a lot of things, a lot of double entendres, a lot of wittiness and cleverness, not traditional bar pattern and rhyme style and punchline. So I know exactly what I was saying when I was saying it. Pusha T references Big on tracks for that reason, because that's the guy that he sees himself most like delivery and flow and style wise.
What do you say to people who say that Pusha T only raps about coke?
I say that he's obviously been noticing that because he said this album isn't going to contain those references and material. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Hey, Mike, I'm going to tell you something else too. Remember I was saying, like, I heard a lot of Cool G rap this week. Oh, Jay and Pusha T are never going to be as gritty or as raunchy or as unsellable as Cool G rap.
Well,
never. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when people are saying, like, he the only rap, go listen to Cool G rap.
Well, I mean, you know, he's the godfather of a lot of that, and a lot of things derive from him.
Like, you want to hear how it really sound raw and uncut? Like, you think you're getting it raw and uncut? These guys are diversifying. Like, I told you, it's like spinning off the family tree. Oh, if you go to the root of the family tree, Mike, and you go listen to that guy, oh, you see these guys are way more diversified than you might realize if you go to the root of the tree. Because, I mean, like, I heard a song Cool G rap the other day that, quite frankly, like, I'm never going to let my daughter hear. You feel me? Like, ever, for any reason.
Well, I'm interested to see what this album is going to be, because, I mean, if he's going to diversify his content in that way, I mean, I don't know. We're just going to have to see. I mean, I could see, I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but at the end of the day, the White House is financing crack pipes, right? And it's interesting that...
I knew you were going to say something. I knew you were going to say something.
It's interesting that, you know, when we have Republicans in office, you know, hip hop is very political. But when Democrats are in office, nobody's political. So it's wild to me that, you know, stuff like this is going on and we don't get any content from it. Just a couple of years ago, everybody was socio-political and it just went away. And so there's a lot of things to actually talk about, you know, from a political standpoint if people want to go there. But it seems like that's not the climate right now. I don't know. Maybe Kendrick Lamar, when he finally comes out, he might address it. Who knows? But,
You're being shady again.
I mean, you know, maybe when he comes out, he'll address it. He actually did put out a political album during a Democratic, you know, administration. But
you consider To Pimp a Butterfly to be
I think the cover was very out there. But that was before he shook the man's hand, so, you know.
Right. So
and after he did that, and all that kind of went out the window.
Right, but the preface is that before that it was a statement and a sentiment trying to be expressed and made, and so I don't think that was it per se.
Yeah. You
But
know,
I
maybe
get what
that's
you're saying.
why when it comes to the black hippies, maybe that's why Absol's always been my favorite.
Hey, Mike, it gets
I
dangerous when
love his approach.
right when art starts imitating life, and you got to start dealing with the powers that be, dealing with your stuff. It kind of changes the message, you know.
Yeah, the real Leonard Washington says, very interesting, Mike. They pick and choose when they want to speak against the madness. Yeah, it's and Harry H says, Mike, come on, the misinformation, bro. We get it. You hate the Dems. It's a lot of us do, but they're spending money on crack pipes. It's not accurate. They actually are. But I'm not just making that up. You can Google that, and it's
No, let's
it's other paraphernalia too. It's to make crack use safe. That's what they're
no,
doing
no.
that for.
Hold on. I want to say this right quick. Mike doesn't hate the Dems. Mike is, you're just not used to black people holding factions that we vote in accountable consistently. I don't have these issues because I'm independent, because I understand that both sides suck and aren't doing anything for our people or for our culture inherently. So let's not just generalize Mike and say that he hates the Dems. Mike hates everybody the same. He hates the Dems. He hates the Republicans. He hates Eminem.
Yeah, I mean,
Right, equal opportunity hate going on.
I hate people who hate us.
Right,
How about that?
right.
Shout out to Darnell Lee with the super chat. He says Pusha T can go bar for bar with any MC. People don't know Pusha's catalog. Ross' catalog is better than Jada. Jada raps better.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's everything in a nutshell.
All those things. Yeah, all those
But
things.
again, I think that with Pusha saying that he's going to do some different things lyrically, and I said all of those things to say there is room to talk about what you talk about on a different level too. And he's smart enough to do that. He's lyrically inclined enough to do that. Again,
Do
all
you
this
remember?
stuff is out there, and I'm pretty sure the guy that produces him a lot, who talks about all of these things, they have conversations about some of the stuff that we were just talking about. So,
Absolutely, Mike. Do you remember the song "Freedom"? The start off to "Till the Casket Drops."
mm-hmm.
Do you remember "Sunshine" with Jill Scott? Like, he's every time he goes off message, it's not received as well, even if he performs as well. And so, what I'm concerned with is that about him branching off into different subject matters. If it's not executed on a 10 or a 10, it's going to hurt his album of the year status potential.
Yeah.
Right. Because even when he pulls it off well, he doesn't get just due for it. Like Mike, that verse on Freedom that starts "Till the Casket Drop" is one of the best verses of his career, and nobody talks about it.
I have no problem with him going out there taking a chance, obviously, and I guess that brings our conversation right back around. I like when musicians take risks and go for it, even if it doesn't turn out perfect. But I get what you're saying too.
Since something dope turned out, Mike, it's not experimenting anymore. You're struggling to make a dope product as a solo artist. It's not 10 years. Mike, think about this. Did it take Stevie Wonder 10 years to experiment to give us a dope product? Michael Jackson, Prince, anybody?
Well, I mean,
Janet Jackson. Mike, you want to step outside this genre? It don't take 10 years to experiment and make dope shit. It's just like you're not making dope shit. Make some dope shit.
In your opinion. And I love Stevie. We share a birthday as well, right?
Dope shit for other people, but for some reason, when it comes to your project, you want to reduce the engineer to a form of indentured servitude and slavery with how you're putting these tracks together. Is
it possible that Kanye's bored with hip hop? Because he's shown us time after time. He can give us a college dropout, late registration. He can give us a graduation. He can give us a My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Now, if you want to be perfectly, fair about this, that is his prime run, right? So talking about now is like talking about anything Stevie after Hotter Than July. Is it not? Is that not fair?
Okay, so if we're doing it under that framework, let's just say that. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, he's done the prime work. It's not like the prime work doesn't exist.
No, the prime work exists.
Yeah.
But when you're acting like there's prime work going on when we haven't seen any prime work in over a decade.
Now, I
And
think he's
people,
lost. I think that
it's
I
not
think he's
law.
experimented enough to the point
Just
where he
sit
has
down and
tricked
engineer the track.
himself.
Like sit down and engineer the track. How about that? Can we finish the track? When it's your track, let's finish the track.
I'm with Diesel. He said Kanye is a producer first, and
Right. The
his
way you
work
finish
with
the
Pusha
guy's
T
track.
shows that.
Right. Mike, the
Yeah,
way you're going and finishing Pusha T's tracks. Can
yeah.
you would you like to go finish your tracks maybe that way? Because you haven't in about, I don't know, over a decade. When did My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy come out, Mike?
That was 2010. It's been
And
12 years.
what year are we in?
12 years, man.
That was the
2022.
last time he made a great digestible solo product.
I mean, that's damn near about the last time that Kendrick Lamar made any product.
Mike, we talk about Nas, Mike, no, real talk. We talked about Nas not making dope shit and having a gap. We talked about Kendrick. I bought up Rakim's 5-year layoff. Like, I bought up that gap when, like, you didn't see Kane Cool G rapper KRS-One, really. Like, he ain't made a dope album in over a decade.
Well, people would say, watch the throne.
I'm going to say it again slowly for the people in the back that didn't hear me. He hasn't made a dope album in over a decade because that album doesn't classify as that shit either.
Let me ask the people in the room: is Watch the Throne a classic, or is it not? Let me
Okay,
go to
so-
Darnell Lee's comment
5
real
dope
quick.
songs does not make an album a classic. I'm going to say that again.
Hold on. Darnell Lee has a question. He says, Coop and Mike, is trap music dead? These trap rappers spit the same content, yet the chat is quiet. I'm sorry. Yet these chats quiet. Hold on. What did he say? Hold on. My bad, Darnell Lee. I'm butchering your comment. Yet these chats quiet about that, but they don't cry about Pusha's content. Okay, I see what he's saying. They're quiet about the fact that trap rappers don't talk about anything but drug use, but when Pusha talks about it, it's a problem. I think a lot of this stuff with Pusha T is the fact that a lot of Drake fans want to find a reason to discredit what he does, because there's no other way you can discredit it. You can't say he can't rhyme. You can't say that your favorite rapper didn't get blown out.
Yeah. No, Mike, but you want to know what? Actually, it's kind of funny. So here's what's going on with Pusha in terms of the rhetoric that's not going on with a lot of those other rappers. And listen to what I'm about to say, and I'm not being funny when I say this. Pusha T enunciates and speaks very clearly with clarity all the time. So you're getting all the dope boy drug references clearly with clarity. These trap rappers don't be doing that. Right. And that's what I mean about the truth when guys be talking in general versus the guy talking specifically in terms of what I like to listen to, what I believe. Because he's right. Because it's like, yeah. All those trap rappers you talking about, it's like, that's cool. Or the drill rappers and all that. It's like, yeah, but I don't be believing most of those guys either because they're not speaking with the clarity and with the vividness that this guy is. And there's not the reality surrounding some of these guys. Like a lot of these guys are talking about stuff that they did, like, you know what I'm saying, for 2 years.
Well, all right. I think this is what it is, though, Coop. Not to interrupt you, though. I think it's a generational thing, right? I think that certain generation of hip hop listeners
sound God about niggas getting locked up around them. That's not regular stuff. That's when the stuff really going on. It's like, no.
I think it's just generation that doesn't really relate to that type of rap in a way that a lot of people who grew up in the 90s do.
Oh,
I think that's what
really
it is.
Did it, so the guys that really did it don't have any credibility, but the guys who didn't do. Right.
I mean, look at who their favorite rappers are in this era. They're not about that kind of content. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at the Kendrick Cole's, say somebody grew up in the Kendrick Cole Drake era, and that's the content that they know to be GOAT level, you know, in hip hop rhyming wise, right? They don't want to hear that over and over, or at least their ear isn't at the point where they consider that to be superior, if that makes any sense.
No,
so I think it's more of a generational thing.
But some of it is just about if you're talented or not. I'm about to reference two guys who are on the same song together, who are from the same borough. Mike, when you hear Jay and when you hear Big, oh, you can tell Jay been on some hustling shit and seen some things Big ain't seen in the street. Okay, you can tell. But Big is talented enough that on record, even though you know he hasn't been the guy out in the streets that Jay has been, well, it's comparable because the skill is there. And like what I'm just trying to say, that some of these dudes just not as talented as Push. Like they're just not as talented for this to even be a conversation. So part of the critique comes because he's the only guy operating at that high level of emceeing with it. So it's not just Drake fans; it's about the level that he's operating at. Because Mike, he's operating in Jay's space. He's operating in Cool G Rap space.
Yeah.
Listen to what I just said. It's a big difference to when Cool G Rap operated in the space and guys like Russell Simmons is like, well, Cool G Rap don't sell no record, so I'm not signing Nas because he sound like Cool G Rap versus what Jay did with it. Push is coming in an era where Jay did something with it where it's on a certain level that it wasn't before. So he's the guy, and so he's going to get criticized.
Do you think Pusha T, if he were on this type of run in the 90s, would be elite in the 90s? With everything that was going on?
Yeah.
I think
yes.
so, too.
Yes. Mike,
yeah.
I mean, Grinding came out in what, 99, 2000?
Nah, that was 2001.
2001?
2002, actually. Yeah, Lord Willing was 2002.